Kevin James, is this the year the Sixers finally get over the hump in the second round of the postseason?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Let's head to the intro. Hello folks, I'm your host, Jeremy Hadler. Welcome to Jeremy Hadler's YouTube channel. This is the second channel of Jeremy Hadler's YouTube channel. So this channel is covering all the Philly sports teams, majority of my favorite ones, such as the Phillies, the Sixers, and the Flyers, ladies and gentlemen, is what we cover. Now, my main channel, I cover football with the Green Bay Packers, my favorite football team. But today we'll be covering the Philadelphia 76ers here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for topic for today's video is, will the Sixers finally get over the hump in the second round of the postseason? Well, as a Sixers fan, I've been asking myself that for the last 6 years. Has not happened. Every year, you figure it would win. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 years. They haven't done it in 6 years, which is ridiculous. Like the Sixers song, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sixers. 6 years, and they still haven't done this postseason run with Joel Embiid. Could not get past second round with Georgia. Not even one appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Not one. So it's been up and down as a Sixers fan living through this. But let's rewind for a quick second, folks, of this pain for a Sixers fan. 2017-2018 season, the 76ers go 52-30 with Brett Brown as the head coach that time. Made the postseason for the first time with Joel Embiid. And this is the first time they made it since the pre-process era. This is the first time with this team. They had Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick, Dario Saric, Robert Covington. This was all the new group of guys. The one that's Sam Hinkie, Trust the Process, that was his nickname, and Joel Embiid's nickname. Those are all the guys that Hinkie acquired for the Sixers. And what the result happened in there was the Sixers won the first round against the Miami Heat in the first round in 5 games. And then you get to the second round, ladies and gentlemen. They go against the Boston Celtics, which I'm going to be covering the Celtics a little bit in this video. Celtics have owned the Sixers for the past 20 years, I will say. It's been ridiculous as a Sixers fan. As long as I can remember, they've owned us. Lose to them the last time the Sixers were in the postseason, the pre-process era. This time, they won against the young Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Lost them in 5 games. Almost went to 6 games if Marco Bellinelli did not have his foot on the line.
The floor. Here's a better look. Yep, clearly a 2. So we're going to overtime. Wow.
Got to sweep the confetti off the floor.
Yeah.
So that was just a rise up there for the Sixers. Then we get to the 2018-2019 season. The Sixers go 51-31. This is the year of Jimmy Butler, ladies and gentlemen. The year that the Sixers acquire a great talented player. Not only did they acquire Jimmy Butler, they acquired Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic. Great players for this time being. First round, they beat the Brooklyn Nets in 5 games. The second round, the famous play. They lose to the Toronto Raptors in Game 7, a heartbreaker with the Kawhi Leonard shot, ladies and gentlemen. Painful watching that live and how that bounced in. One of the luckiest shots I've ever seen happen. Just painful as a Sixers fan. Just painful. And not only was it painful for the Sixers to not beat the Raptors, that offseason, we lost Jimmy Butler. We traded him, which was a sign and trade deal, but pretty much he decided to go to the Miami Heat. So we lose out on the guy that every Sixers fan wanted to resign. We re-signed Tobias Harris, who was doing all right with the Sixers. We extended Ben Simmons during that time, which not a great move for the Sixers, in my opinion there. Then they signed Al Horford. Yeah, the guy who is very old and the guy who owned Joel Embiid in this postseason past couple of years. So that happens in the offseason. Then we get to the 2019-2020 season, the COVID year. Had the season pre-COVID, and we get to the COVID season. So I mentioned the offseason. The Sixers go 43-30, go to the bubble, and get swept by Boston. In that series, you have Ben Simmons suffer an ankle injury and get out of the Rangers series, and the Sixers just were not healthy. And that was the time where we decided to get rid of our coach and have new management in place. I mean, we had Elton Brand, but he was still the GM. But we hired a new president in there, ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Morey, who was coming from the Houston Rockets, where he was known there for years of working as the president of operations, of basketball operations there. Then we added a new head coach, Doc Rivers, which might be better might have been better a little bit. Not really, as we will get through this video. Not really. But during that offseason, Daryl Morey makes the moves necessary, I will say. Trade for Steph Curry. Love it. Trade Al Horford for Danny Green. Amazing. Drafted Tyrese Maxey. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. When Horford was not the guy, gave him a lot of money, shipped them out right away so that create cap space. Got a great three-point shooter, brother of the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. Steph Curry there. Drafted Tyrese Maxey, which we'll talk about him in a bit later in this video. And you got Danny Green out of it. So Danny Green, known for his time in the Toronto Raptors, got played for the Lakers. He's had his championship experience there. So that was great to see there. Sixers go 49-23 during that season, and they get the top seed in the East, which is rare for the Sixers to get. So as a Sixers fan, I'm feeling very confident during this time. And then we get to the process of annoyance here, ladies and gentlemen. Processing it by first round, we beat the Wizards as expected in 5 games, so that's expected. Second round, you're playing the Atlanta Hawks against Trae Young. This should be a team you should be taking care of in this series. However, the Sixers did not beat the Hawks. They lose to them and get upset in 7 games. During that whole fiasco, Ben Simmons was not the guy. He missed an opportunity to get a quick layup in, afraid to shoot the ball, passed it to Matisse Thybulle, and does not get it. He does not get the bucket. So, frustrating during that series entirely, where the Sixers had multiple chances to win those games, multiple chances to end the series early, and they just couldn't get it done. Another heartbreaker for the Sixers. It's just annoying to see that. And during that series, Ben Simmons would get fouled purposely and couldn't make a simple free throw shot. Couldn't make the free throw shot. Just annoyance there. And that grew frustration on the Sixers front office and the fans during that time. He did not want to play for the Sixers anymore. He had a whole drama fiasco as we get into the next season of 2021-22. He refuses to come play. He's dealing with mental health issues. The Sixers just don't want to try to get rid of him. He will not show up to practice. He refuses to come in the facility. So what Daryl Morey does is he finds him a bit. He finds him a bit because he doesn't find the mental health all to the extent. He does find some of it. That's what the case was. But some of it, I believe that Ben Simmons was lying about. So that was why the fine came in. So eventually, the Sixers finally got a trade done. They trade Ben Simmons to Brooklyn, and along with Steph Curry in that deal, and trade draft capital too. And what they got out of that was James Harden. So a new player, you figure your problems are going to be solved. James Harden comes in for the Philadelphia 76ers. This was his 3rd team in the last 2 years when the Sixers acquired him. Played with the Houston Rockets the majority of his career. Then gets traded to Brooklyn. He does not work out there with Kyrie and KD. Gets the trade here over the Ben Simmons. And as a Sixers fan, the Sixers, you hope this would change it and get rid of the whole drama. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And I will tell you what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. In this season, with the 2021-2022 season for the Sixers, they go 51-31. 3rd seed as normal for them. They beat the Raptors in 6 games. 6 games. You would have thought it would have been a lot easier in like 4 or 5 games. You would have thought that. No, it had to be 6 games. And during these postseason runs so far for Sixers, Joel Embiid gets hurt. He's not himself. And that has been a big concern. When you don't have Joel Embiid being the guy he is, that he usually is in the regular season, that's a huge problem for the Sixers. So it didn't help the Sixers beating the Raptors in the 6 games. Granted, they got the dub and they move on to the next round. But that was not helpful there. Second round, you lose to the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, the guy that the Sixers got rid of and thought he wasn't the guy the Sixers should have brought back. Even though the Sixers fans, including myself, Joel Embiid, wanted him to stay badly. But Elton Brand, before Daryl Morey was there, decided that Jimmy Butler was not the guy. Yeah, that didn't help the Sixers out. And Jimmy Butler said it to everyone in that. Said it to the camera, said it to the entire media. You traded me, you signed me instead of Tobias Harris. You chose Tobias Harris over me. Yeah, that was a slap in the face to the Sixers. He wanted to stay, but the problem was what was the Sixers was with Ben Simmons, Brett Brown, Those were two big concerns for Jimmy Butler. But the fact that you got rid of Jimmy Butler did not help it, and karma happens, and the Sixers lose to the Heat in 6 games here. So far, folks, we've gone through 5 postseason runs. Did not make it to the second round. Did not make it to the second round. Got swept. Did not make it to the second round. Annoyance. You see how it is. And now we get to where we are today, folks. The 2022-2023 season. And now we get to the last postseason run from last year, ladies and gentlemen. 2022-23 season. So Sixers coming off that loss to Miami Heat in that 6 games of that second round postseason. James Harden, a lot of people were criticizing him a bit. He was out of shape, wasn't the same old dude. Sixers should have traded him away right off the bat. And after that, lost to the Miami Heat, folks. The Sixers signed P.J. Tucker, who was a good defenseman, restructured James Harden's contract to a 1-year deal, and James Harden at the time thought he was going to get a much bigger contract after that season, which did not happen. We'll get to that in a sec here, folks. Sixers go 54-28, pretty good of regular season wise. First round, you sweep the Brooklyn Nets, pretty good. You're expected here to do the job. Second round, you face the Boston Celtics. And my oh my, was that painful as a Sixers fan. First game, you don't have Joel Embiid. You're at TD Garden, one of the best basketball arenas in the NBA. And James Harden has to be clutch in this game for the Sixers to even have a chance to win the series here. He does it. It has the career night of his life, folks, in the postseason. Gets the job done. First game, great. And then it went terrible, folks. You get Joel Embiid back. He goes in and out, doesn't play much through these next couple games. And the Sixers had it. They had a 3-2 lead on the Boston Celtics. They were leading the series. They were one game away from closing it out. And game 6 happens. They lose that one. Missed the opportunity to close out the series and beat your bullies, Sixers. You missed the chance to beat the bullies right then and there. Then we go to game 7. This was terrible. Sixers did not show enough energy. It looked like they gave up after, in the middle of the third quarter. Jason Tatum was having the game of his life, ladies and gentlemen. Just another ridicule of pain and suffering as a Sixers fan. James Harden, you thought after that first game, he'd be doing a lot better and keep going. No, he decided to decline and miss a lot of shots, not be consistent whatsoever. He was not doing it for the Sixers, not doing it. And that just made a whole big split down the middle here between James Harden and the Sixers front office with Daryl Morey. Because the Sixers front office were looking at him like, yeah, that's not the guy. We don't want James Harden anymore. And that created a rift between that. James Harden called Daryl Morey a liar in the offseason, thought that he was going to get the extended contract, did not. And so James Harden refused to show up to Sixers camp, games, practice, refused to show up to the facility. And so it took a bit. In this current season we're in, the 2023-2024 season, for the trade to happen. Now, in this offseason, the Sixers have a new head coach. They fired Doc Rivers after terrible, choking artist Doc Rivers was. The Sixers get the new head coach, Nick Nurse, the guy who beat the Sixers in the Toronto Raptors 2019, with a Kawhi Leonard shot. He comes in for the Sixers. Now, this is the difference. You get a guy who's won a championship more recently, has had great resume of defense. He has great defensive schemes in there. So that was all great. So the Sixers finally make the trade happen. They trade away James Harden and P.J. Tucker. Now, P.J. Tucker was solid for the Sixers, but the big contract that the Sixers gave him created a lot more cap space for them. So they're getting rid of him and both to the Los Angeles Clippers for bench players on expiring deals, draft capital, and some money. So that was good, I would say, because you started with problem A of Ben Simmons drama, you get the plan B of James Harden drama, and you finally get rid of all of it. So you get rid of all of it, hopefully right now. No drama right now for that sake. And in this offseason, they re-signed Paul Reed. They got Kelly Oubre, which I think was the steal of the offseason in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. Signs a 1-year deal for about $5 million. I think it was a huge, massive steal sign deal for the Sixers. where the guy has been pretty good on 3-point shooting his entire career. Pretty good on 3-point shooting. And with that created an extra bench player, more depth for the Sixers to do. And Paul Reed getting re-signed was good for the Sixers since he was excellent when you need him to step in for Joel Embiid missing games, especially in that Brooklyn Nets series in the first round. Stepped it up a lot, was clutch for the Sixers a bit. And now we get to the present here, ladies and gentlemen, this 2023-2024 season here. Now we get to the present here. Tyrese Maxey is playing like an all-star. Joel Embiid is playing like an MVP again. He won his MVP last year, ladies and gentlemen. He's playing like an MVP again, which is great to see that. Defensively, I will say this, has looked spectacular and looked a lot better I have seen over these past couple of years for the Sixers. Looks a lot better. Bench has been solid so far, I will say. You did have Kelly Oubre, which I thought, as I mentioned again, great signing for the Sixers. He was out for a couple of weeks because he got hit by a car when he was walking on the sidewalk in Philadelphia. Made the Sixers suffer a little bit there when he was out because he's been so good for the Sixers, I will say. Tobias Harris. I will admit this, he has been okay. He's been solid right now, folks. Probably after this video, he'll probably suck, so I'm just going to say this right now for the time being. He's been solid here. Solid. Now we'll have to wait and see how far that goes here. This goodness for him of solid. And Nick Nurse has changed his team around, and I love it right now, folks. He has gotten more aggressive, made the guys more pacing on the floor, getting back on the defense, getting hurry up on offense. I love to see the pacing here. And I love to see it out of Nick Nurse, of him changing this team, which has been a lot better than I've seen this past couple of years for the Sixers. Now, Sixers are currently the 3rd seed. They are behind the Boston Celtics, who are the number 1 seed, and the Milwaukee Bucks as the 2nd seed. And so to go back to the question of the video where I asked, is this the year the Sixers finally get over the hump in the second round of the postseason? I think this is finally the year that the Sixers can finally get over it. However, there are going to be a lot of things that has to come their way in order to achieve this. And I'll give my reasons why here in a minute of why I think they will. But the main concerning things have been the problems with the Sixers the past couple years in this postseason run. Joel Embiid's health and his postseason. The statistics are very different from his regular season and the postseason. Completely different. His health. He gets hurt every single year and misses some time in the postseason. Not look great in the postseason because of that, which has hurt the Sixers a lot. When he's healthy, he's that guy. Sixers get the job done, which is what I like to see there. But he's got to be healthy here. They've got to have him healthy here. And I just think with his health, that's my number 1 concern. So that's my first concern. The second concern, number 2. I think the Sixers are 1 player away from being right away title contenders. Now, they're title contenders, in my opinion, but the way they are structured, they're not going to get that far. I think they're 1 player away from being up to the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're more close to the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'll get that into a bit. But really to establish themselves to take over Boston. And Boston is the best team in the East, and maybe the NBA. But I'm just going to talk about the East for now. I think they're 1 player away, guys. Just 1 player away. Now, it doesn't have to be a superstar. It doesn't have to be. They just need a guy who's very solid, has good shooting percentage, and get the buckets in when it need to matter. Just be that J.J. Redick off the bench kind of guy like Kelly Oubre also. I think they need one of those, and they can make the trade because they have a lot of assets from the James Harden trade with guys on expiring deals. You can make a simple deal, trade draft capital, just make a lot of quick deals. And I think the Sixers are going to be very aggressive at the trade deadline coming up very soon, folks. I think they're going to be very aggressive at that. So that's my second concern, folks. I think they're 1 player away from doing it. Now, why do I think the Sixers can finally get over the hump? Well, as I mentioned before, Nick Nurse, new coach, culture has changed a bit different. I will say that so far this regular season. You don't have Doc Rivers waiting until last second to make adjustments, call timeouts, and just hope for better results. No. Nick Nurse is making players better. He's making making players look better defensively, especially. Offensively, that was one of the big questions coming into the season. Whether the Sixers would be solid, be bad, be amazing. Well, they've been solid so far, and I really like to see it out of it. They've been playing up to the paint. They've been knocking down shots from the 3-point line. It's looked a lot better. And then you got Tyrese Maxey. And I thought this last year, get rid of James Harden. Was not because of the drama and then Tyrese Maxey. I think it was great that the Sixers got rid of James Harden because it freed up Maxey and showed his potential, his ultimate potential, and his high ceiling that he could be. And he's playing like an all-star. He's got a lot of speed. He's been playing fantastic, controlling the line, of moving guys around, calling the shots of there with Nick Nurse. Just great general out there on the floor, and I love to see that out of Tyrese Maxey. And another thing I like to say, and he's just been amazing, and he should be an all-star this year. I was going to say that. He should be an all-star. And the other thing is the Sixers are taking care of opponents when it needs to be. Now, for the past couple of seasons, Sixers have taken on bad teams, and the scores have been very close. And that should not be happening when the Sixers were the third seed at that time. This year, you're seeing a lot of times that the Sixers are taking care of opponents when it needs to matter. They're playing the Washington Wizards. They're beating them by 40 points. Now, I know the Wizards have almost nobody on that team except Jordan Poole, but they're taking care of opponents. And that's something that sticks out to me with this. Sticks out to me when I'm looking at the Sixers. Taking care of opponents. They are keeping it close with the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. Looking great out there. And going back to the Eastern Conference. You look at the top teams have been the Celtics and the Bucks as the teams that are higher tier than the Sixers. Then the other team that has hurt the Sixers in the postseason a little bit, the Miami Heat. They've been the shocker in the postseason the past couple seasons, have gone to Eastern Conference, have made it to the finals before. They are a team you cannot sleep on in the postseason. You just can't. I mean, the Sixers lost them on Christmas Day, but that was without some of their guys there. But they did make it very close in that game stretch when they were down by 20. They made it very close and lost by a couple points there. So Sixers are keeping it going there. I really like that. And then to Milwaukee Bucks. They got Damian Lillard, which was the big offseason trade and talk, and then all happened there. I do think with Damian Lillard, he's been inconsistent a little bit there. Now, right away, he's had his great moments. I will say that, especially for Milwaukee Bucks fans. But there are times where he's looked bad in the game. He's looked very bad. He's been up and down, so I think that's going to cost Milwaukee Bucks a couple games, maybe a postseason game here and there. But I think it's going to take time for the Bucks to finally get it going with Damian Lillard. Like, this is the first year with him and Giannis, so I think it's going to take a lot. Plus, they have a new head coach, which I know a lot of Buck fans do not like him a bit. So I think it's going to take a little bit for the Bucks to get it going there. They could definitely get it ready by postseason, but I think it's going to take up some time in this regular season so far. So I think that's going to create some problems there for the Milwaukee Bucks. But I do think the Sixers match up well against them heavily. So we'll have to see when we see another Sixers-Bucks match to see how it goes there. But I do think Sixers match up well against them. Boston Celtics. Again, I will say this. They have owned us. They have owned us for as long as I can remember. Just terrible. Just terrible as a Sixers fan to watch that. Which they are most likely going to get the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, which I won't be surprised for that to happen. I won't be surprised. Which means, though, folks, that the Sixers will not have to face the Boston Celtics if the Sixers keep winning here. Would not have to face the Boston Celtics, theoretically, till the Eastern Conference Finals. And the question has been to try to get past the second round. So Sixers would not have to face the Boston Celtics for the path just to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, theoretically. So that's good there. Since the Sixers are going to get a 2-3 seed, and the second and third seed do not face the number one seed to the Eastern Conference Finals, if it were to happen, ladies and gentlemen. If it would happen. However, I do think there are some concerns with the Boston Celtics. I will say that. They heavily rely on three-point shooting. They chuck it up a lot, and the majority of the time it works. But there are times where it doesn't work out for them. And that, I think, is going to cost them there because the Celtics have got to fight in the paint and get those easy buckets there. So I think the Sixers could try and do a lot better against them, especially with Nick Nurse, who kept it a lot closer than what we've seen with Brett Brown and Doc Rivers. Keep it close. So I think with Nick Nurse, he's going to get the battle going. And he knows the Boston Celtics very well since he's in the same since he was in the same conference when he was the Toronto Raptors head coach. So I think that's going to keep it going there for the Sixers. Why I think it could be a strong matchup if the Sixers were to face the Boston Celtics in the postseason and in the regular season also. Other concern I have with the Boston Celtics is Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics head coach. there are times where I would see some Celtic games and he would not look right with the play calling adjustments there. Like, especially late in the game, he would just draw a play and it would not work whatsoever. It was a funky play, and if you're a Celtics fan, you're like, what am I watching here? Because there were times where the Celtics would have it right there, and you just didn't see with Missoula. You just didn't see it with him making those adjustments, getting it right. The other thing I see for them is the injuries. Injuries have been a big problem for the Celtics for a couple of years. With Kristaps Porzingis, he's battling through injuries. Jrue Holiday, who they acquired from the Damian Lillard trade, has been up there with a little bit of injuries. Jaylen Brown a little bit. Some of their bench depth too. So I think injuries could play a role here for the Celtics. That could be also an issue for the team. So that's been a little concerning there. But that's all I got to say about the Celtics, though. And to go to the Miami Heat, as I mentioned before, Heat have been given teams problems for the past couple years in the Eastern Conference playoffs round. And so the issues I look at the Miami Heat, they got a little bit older, injuries, they struggled a bit. Their three-point shooting is what they rely on. Like I mentioned with the Boston Celtics, they rely on that so much. Duncan Robinson is the guy that they need. And I think the Heat are a star away from making them great contenders. I think that's the case for them. Now, they're most likely going to face the Boston Celtics. And last year, they beat the Celtics in the postseason, which was a shock to everyone. And last year, the Miami Heat beat the Bucks. They beat the Celtics when no one thought they could get it done, when they were struggling in the regular season, and somehow pulled off against two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Amazing to see it. So you're going to have the Sixers probably would have to face in the conference finals at any case. But again, here, not a team to fool around with in the postseason. You got to watch out, especially Jimmy Butler, because the Sixers got rid of him. Did not work out well, Elton Brand. Did not work out well. But I do think the Sixers can get the job done and can get past the second round for the first time, folks. I think they can finally get it done for the first time. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Sixers get past the second round of the postseason this year and finally break and get over the hump? Let me know, folks. Let me know. But before I head out, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. Also, subscribe to the main channel, the one where I cover the majority of my sport and where I do most of my video content on there. Make sure you subscribe to that. But until next time, trust the process. Hopefully. Hopefully, as a Sixers fan, folks. Hopefully.